everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I have big news at the start of this video. We have kittens. We have 2 new kittens. I shared about them on Instagram and TikTok over the weekend, but they are absolutely precious. They are so perfect for us. They're just a few months old, just teeny tiny little like tabby kitty cats. And guys, they have been adjusting so well to this house, to the kids and everything. I'm like so impressed that things are just kind of flowing how they are. And really ever since Baker passed away, that was back in April of 2020, you know, I knew for sure I would want more kitty cats. And after she passed away, I mean, it was just a crazy time in general because the pandemic was just starting. I had just gone through a phase of tons and tons of migraines, like getting them constantly, and I wasn't sure how I was going to cope with that. If you've been with my YouTube videos for a while, I talked about that, and you know, I kind of made some videos throughout that ordeal. But we had that going on in 2020, right around the time Baker passed away, a Cupcake Baker. She's got nicknames. But in that time also, there was no school anymore. They shut down school because of COVID. It was just starting and nobody really knew where's this going. So now I'm teaching my pre-K kid. I'm taking care of Biddy, of course, and Bubba's just a few months old. Well, a little over 6 months old at that point. And then my parents, who helped me a lot, it was like we kind of distanced from them for a while because we didn't want them to get sick. We're scared of this virus, and it was a tough time. And then by fall of that year, I was teaching an entire year of kindergarten here out of my house. And rolling into 2021, the health struggles my dad went through, from having rounds of chemo to open heart surgery and all this stuff. It was just like the mental load of what was happening in my life. I still had a knowing that I would have a cat again one day, but I also had a knowing that I couldn't give them the focus and love at that time. Like I wouldn't have been able to juggle one more thing. And those are times I think you have to be really honest with yourself. You have to say, like, what can I handle? Because I'd gotten a lot of questions in that span of time, in that gap where we didn't have any pets. And I got a lot of questions like, are you going to get another pet? And, you know, my answer would always be yes. I always knew I would. And then, you know, these last few months, it really seemed like the time was right, you know? And so I'm looking actively quite a bit on the shelter websites. And for a long time, I really didn't see a lot of kittens available. I was kind of disappointed, but I was just like, I'll keep looking. And I wanted to adopt from a shelter because that's where we got Cupcake from. There are so many cats in need of a home, and God bless all the adult kitties who are in shelters, but I really wanted to be able, for my kids to be able to, you know, enjoy that kitten phase, because that was something they never knew with Baker. They knew about her, you know, sort of older cat phase and some of the struggles she went through, and I just wanted some kitties who would live their life with us, you know? So I'm looking out for that. There were a couple of cats that we came really close on, and I remembered thinking, like, if this is right, God, like, I prayed about it, like, make it easy, make it happen without any hiccups, you know, just let this situation flow with ease. And it didn't. Like, I applied for the kitty cats, and then they're like, they're really standoffish cats. We need the whole family to be able to come here. Everybody living in your house, you know, has to be here to visit them and see them. And I was like, wow, it's hard to adopt a cat these days. And I'm trying to get that together with Bub's schedule. And then in the meantime, someone Bub knows who actually like helps home animals in need with families who want to adopt them. He knew of a couple of sister kitty cats that needed adopted by a person who had the mama cat and they didn't know she was pregnant, and then had all these kitties, and they wanted to adopt those out directly to someone so they know they'd be in a home. And so this whole thing unfolds over the course of, you know, not quite 2 weeks. And I never met the cats in person. I just saw pictures, but I knew they needed a home and I knew we needed them, you know? And we also knew we wanted 2 kitty cats because I think it's a little bit easier for them to adapt. They feel a little more comfortable, less scared. And siblings, you know, that's just perfect. And they had said, you know, these 2 really bonded together and they'll be the ones that you get. And finally, Bub was able to meet up with them and get the cats. And the moment they set foot in our house, they stepped out of that carrier. I mean, I'm crying. We knew Bub was coming home with them. He had taken the pet taxi, and me and Biddy and Belle are just like sitting there facing the door because we hear the garage door open. So we're like in the door and we're just holding hands, we're gripping, and we're just like, oh my gosh, we're about to meet our kitties. I just like, I'm knowing that these are the animals that we are meant to have in our lives, that I'm going to take care of with my whole entire heart, and that everybody's going to help with, and that we're just going to love them to pieces. Our house is pretty big to a little tiny kitty cat, you know, so they've got a lot of places to explore, and they have. They're super playful, just tussling with one another, wanting to play with toys. It's like a perfect energy level that my kids have and what the kittens have. It just matches up great, the way they want to play and they want to watch them and do things, and the kitties just want to give all that back. And then there are times when they just want to sit on the couch and read their books, and guess who wants to just hop up on a blanket with them? You know, it's so perfect. Thank you so much for all your nice comments on other social media where I posted about this, but I just had to share at the start of this video. It's a massive life thing for me and something I've wanted to happen for a long time. I've missed Baker terribly, you know, like I think about her every day. I know she's an angel. I know that when I was holding those kitties on the couch and I look out the window and I see a red cardinal, that's my sign, you know, and I just think it's definitely the right time. We needed this. Thank you for hearing that story. If you have no interest in pets, I'm sorry. But another thing that I wanted to talk about in this video are my favorite Benefit blushes. This video's kind of been a long time coming. I feel like these blushes have been out for a while. This kind of relaunch of boxed blushes by Benefit, and I got an amazing, tremendous PR package that had like all of the blushes inside these little doors, plus some things that we know about that they make already, like Hula was stuck in there, Dandelion was in there, but there's a lot of like actually really peachy blushes in this mix, like Butterfly, Sunny, Shelly, Peachin', really like orangey peaches, and then a lot of really rich colors, neutrals, and I have 4 that are like my definite favorites, and I thought I would share those with you in order today, and also chat about some dupes I've tried to find, and this is not going to be your standard like, oh, here's a dupe for this, here's the dupe for that. It's not going to be real cut and dry. I'm going to tell you about my process of trying to find dupes for these and what came closest, and I'm going to be very honest about that because some of these are very hard to dupe, and this is coming from a person who has a big blush collection. I got a lot to draw from, and I was kind of shocked at what a hard time I was having. But before we get to that, I just want to name off my favorites in order, just starting with like my #1 most favorite and going down the line. And I do love how the packaging is so individual on these, and you've seen me maybe use 1 or 2 of these in recent videos. I've been testing them all out, but I love how the packaging is so unique on each one. And this one is called Terra, and this one says it's a golden brick red blush and it has a soft shimmer finish. This has turned out to be like the most unique one I have. I really love its depth, but it is again very earthy. It has kind of a rosiness to it. Definitely some really pretty warmth. As it shears out on the skin, it looks so healthy, kind of toasty, but given its depth, its rosiness, but also its warmth, you know, it's not like a plum. So I did have a very hard time trying to find a dupe for this, but it's absolutely beautiful. I have loved this. It's my tip-top favorite. The little bit of sheen that it has, I think, is really special as well, because I think we picture lighter blushes to have that sheen, you know, like a soft pink with shimmer, a soft peachy color. But when you get into deeper colors that have that sheen, they can do some really interesting things on your skin. They can recede a little bit more where light's not touching. They can actually give you glow that you're not expecting out of a shade that's that rich. So I've just really enjoyed Terra. And by the way, there is a soft scent, not exactly like every other Benefit box blush. I remember a certain scent coming out of stuff like Sugar Bomb and, you know, all those different ones. This is soft. It's fresh. It makes me think of just the teeniest bit of a perfumed scent. It's not like it's trying to mimic a fruit scent or something, but I love that. I really love it on my skin tone, and I'll definitely link to the video where I was putting that on. Now, my second favorite is this one called Moon. Moon is so gorgeous, again, with the packaging, like so unique. You've got like this city skyline, this gorgeous moon. This shade is described, and they put the description right on the top, rich berry blush, and on the back they say, dancing in the moonlight, sweep this rich berry blush on cheeks for luxurious velvety color and a satin finish, and it looks so dark, but this has a range. I mentioned this on Instagram. I was talking about a face of the day that I did. I did a little video of it, and I said, you know, I know it looks dark, but this has an entire range of looks. A person with really deep skin could try this and love this. However, I can sheer this out and also adore the tone that I get. And it does have a little bit more of a reddish pull on the skin than you might anticipate. Again, with the satin finish, it really makes a difference on the skin. I think the fact that this has a satin finish, because we'll discuss the dupe in a minute and how that kind of differentiates a little bit, but it's so gorgeous. And again, a light hand or apply it with more intensity, you'll have a spectrum of looks you can achieve with this. But it's definitely more berry as opposed to Terra, which is a little softer and definitely warmer, okay? I think Benefit did a great job of putting out some really unique, rich colored blushes. And Moon is a very close second for me to Terra. Again, it looks kind of just out and out berry plum, but I feel like as it shears out on my cheeks, I see even more like kind of reddishness coming out of it. But it's a really beautiful blush. My third favorite is something that I think most anyone could grab and love, and it's the one called Willa. It's got a pink willow tree on it and a little sailboat in the background, and it's funny because Biddy and I, right by her pre-K, there was this willow tree, and we'd always say hi to it every day. And like a couple times this summer, she's made me drive by the pre-K to check on the willow tree. But it says, gentle breeze and willow trees. Sweep this soft neutral rose blush on cheeks for a natural looking flush and satin finish. This one really, I think, has quite a... Oh goodness, there's kitties. Look who just came in to visit. This is Biscuits. I don't know if I even told you their names, but it's Biscuits and Rosie. I think the other one's at the door. They're both in here. They're just roaming around. This is my first experience like shooting a video, and they're at large in the house. They're probably like, woman, come down and give us some more wet food. What was I saying about Willa? This is kind of like Dusty Rose meets, I think, quite a bit of a glow, actually. I had a surprisingly hard time finding anything in my collection that was really close to this because it's kind of cool. It's actually kind of light, shimmery, cool. It shows up in such a gorgeous way on the cheeks, but there's quite a bit of sheen in this. They call it a satin finish. It seems downright shimmery to me, and this was one of the first ones actually in the whole box of blushes that I got in that PR package. This is one of the first ones I really latched on to, just because I thought it looked perfect on the cheeks no matter what. But it's almost a little more like purely pink than it looks as I hold it right here. There's a little seal on that mirror. That's why the mirror's not looking quite like a perfect mirror, but it looks a bit more dusty as I hold it up in here in the pan, but it's like slightly brighter and more pinky than it appears there, and that's why I had such a hard time like finding that dupe. I have an ocean of Dusty Rose blushes, and as you'll see, one thing came kind of close. So those three, Terra, Moon, and Willa, were kind of like the first ones to really get me, and then the last one to become a favorite to me is this one called Krista, and this one has these beautiful crystals on the front, and it says, catch the light, sweep this strawberry pink blush on cheeks for vivid, eye-catching color and a soft shimmer finish. So they call it strawberry pink. To me, not hearing that description, if I were to look at this shade, I would say that's a really bold coral, okay? And it is so pretty. A vibrant blush can be so beautiful. And again, with that soft scent, this one smells like traditional Benefit blushes. What about Willa? I didn't. Willa too. Moon, I believe so as well. Those three all kind of remind me of just the older Benefit box blushes, and they had that really distinct like Benefit scent. Terra's the one that smells a little bit different. It has maybe a dash of something more tropical in that scent. But anyway, back to Krista. This one's bold, okay? You can see that. Bold coral, and it does have a little shimmer. This is the one I'm wearing today, and I think I'll transition now into talking about the dupes. Hi, baby. They like coming in and out of this room. Biddy wanted to name one Biscuits and one Gravy, but Belle wouldn't go for like quote unquote her cat being named Gravy. She wanted a cat named Rosie. But the dupe that I could find, the closest thing, is this one from Milani in Coral Cove. So this is one of their rose blushes, and you might be thinking, well, those are matte, Em, and I thought this Benefit one has some shimmer. And yeah, that's kind of the differentiating factor here. I've got one on each of my cheeks, and I think the color is super on point point between these two, but this one does just have a little bit of a sheen. So this will be the try-on I can show you in this video, is both of these. So I put Krista on, just lightly dabbing my e.l.f. blush brush into it, really being careful not to get too much on my brush at once. And I blend that in, and it has just a little bit of a glow. Not as much glow as Willa had, but you know, there is some. And then I put on Coral Cove, and while it's got like the same color tone, the same capability for intensity, it just doesn't have the sheen. But I still think they look really, really close, and that's the best dupe I can give you in this video. So yeah, Krista from Benefit and Coral Cove from Milani. Now for Willa, this one was just a beast to try to find a dupe for, because again, it looks like standard Dusty Rose in the pan, a little bit mauvey, but it came off a little lighter and brighter, more pinky than a lot of things. So the closest thing I could find to that is from CoverGirl, and it's one of their True Blend So Flushed blushes, and this is in the shade Sweet Seduction. So when you look at these side by side, maybe you can tell the similarities here. This one does have sheen also, and they're honestly really, really close. The CoverGirl one actually is just a little bit deeper and maybe a little less sheen, but they're really, really close. So I wanted to mention them. I wanted to give you something in the ballpark, but I looked forever and I had so many things that you would think would match up to that. But this is definitely the closest one. Just a little more depth and maybe a hint more warmth in this one from CoverGirl. Now Moon, you'll recall, that's the one that's very, very rich. It looks like a plummy berry type of blush, and this does have a satin finish. My closest dupe shade for that is this one from Rimmel. It's the Maxi blush. It's a powder blush in the shade Rendezvous, and this is matte, and it really shows the difference, I think. Like Moon has that, and when I swatch it out, it goes from looking quite so berry to a little bit more like a reddish plum, and then I swatch this Maxi blush beside it, and it just looks like pretty darn dark, and it doesn't get as red, and it also has no sheen. So they're close, but it's like close but no cigar to me. Like, I'm sharing this with you because it's the best I could do, and it's in the ballpark, but it's not identical. I think the sheen in this is part of what makes it really unique. This is just me kind of sharing my dupe journey, and I didn't have anything this rich that also had that same kind of sheen. But this, you know, the color's really close, but it also just kind of, because it's so flat, it just kind of stays looking dark. This one really sings when it's sheared out on the skin. And then finally, the one that I could find no dupe for, not even really anything close, was Terra, and this was my #1 favorite. So again, that's that rich, earthy brick red, they call it. It's toasty, it's warm. I feel like it's the kind of blush that could look good on me for any occasion, you know. This one and Willa kind of both have that feel to me, whereas Moon and Krista, you know, I might have some specific reasons why I choose those different colors, but these two are just very like everyday seeming to me. But this one has some richness, you know. I do have plenty of kind of neutral or nude, you might describe them, blushes in my collection. Great drugstore options, but they're not as deep as this. That was kind of the factor setting them all apart. So I hope that gives you a little info on these blushes from Benefit, which ones are my favorites. Since I've tried them all, I definitely, you know, have some thoughts. I'll just sit her up here on the table. Let me know if you have any certain ones that you love. If you've found any dupes that you'd like to discuss in the comments section, feel free to share. Yeah, thanks for watching. I love you. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.